The moment Brenda's BMW crumpled against the blade of my harvester, I swear, you could hear the universe switch sides. There she was, perfect hair, $1,000 purse, out of her car and waving those manicured hands at my machine, all righteous fury and perfume. And me? I just sat in my combine's cab, filming with my phone, fighting the urge to laugh. You know that feeling when you realize someone's about to step into every trap they set for you? That was me. 40,000 pounds of John Deere steel. And this suburban queen thought she could play chicken with a man who feeds the county. Want to know how one scrape flipped an entire HOA on its head? Buckle up. See, I'm Jake Hartwell, third-generation Indiana farmer. My family's been working this land longer than most of these Meadowbrook Estates folks have been alive. My wife Sarah and I, we scrape by, but this place is home, kids playing in the dirt, diesel in the air, and if the bank isn't calling, I call a good month. That changed when Brenda Ashworth, former HR dragon and current HOA president, moved in next door. Imagine someone who wants rural charm without rural reality, calls your life's work a lifestyle choice, while filing complaints about industrial odors every time you spread manure. The war started over a dirt road, believe it or not. My family's access for 80 years, legal as can be, writing the deed until Brenda and her clipboard brigade decided my tractors were destroying the landscape. First, it was polite, sort of. Then came the ultimatums. Use the highway route, at 4 miles and rush hour semis, or face fines. I tried being neighborly, but you ever deal with someone who thinks rules don't apply to them? Yeah, that happened. So I did what farmers do best. I waited. Brenda, though, she went full siege mode. Noise complaints at 5 in the morning. Petitions about industrial hazards. She even planted herself in a folding chair on my access road, umbrella up, snapping photos like she was starring in CSI. Cornfield. Every morning the sound of gravel under her chair legs became my wake-up call. My neighbor Jim finally hollered out, "Brenda, difference between you and Jake? He feeds people. You just feed drama." Could have kissed him for that one. Didn't stop her. Anonymous calls to the county, rumors on Facebook about unsafe farming practices. She tried to get Sarah fired from the local school for being married to a problem farmer. Then the letter arrived, official HOA stationery, demanding I cease all incompatible agricultural operations. That's when Sarah found me in the barn, staring at the papers. She just said, "Jake, this is harassment. Fight back, be thorough, be patient. Build your case." Smart woman, my wife. So I started planting evidence metaphorically. Photos, logs, every letter and threat filed away. And when the time was right, I went to the courthouse. You ever spend a Saturday breathing in old paper and the slow ticking of bureaucracy? I did. Mrs. Henderson, the clerk, remember my grandfather, turns out our easement was 30 feet wide, not 12. Brenda's precious flower bed, sitting smack in the middle of my right-of-way. Surveyor came out, marked the line with neon orange stakes, ran right through her roses. The meltdown was spectacular. She called an emergency HOA meeting, shrieked about harassment. The board remembered my grandfather. The one even said, "Jake's family put this road in before half these houses had indoor plumbing." That next morning, no more checkpoint. Just Brenda sitting in her BMW, glaring at my combine. But entitled people never learn. Next, she called in the county for noise violations, brought out a guy with a decibel meter. While he fiddled with his equipment, Brenda launched a full-blown social media panic. Photos of farm dust, warnings about toxic clouds. She created a Facebook group, Concerned Citizens of Millbrook, posting daily about how my harvest was a public health threat. Some folks panicked. Others, like Mrs. Patterson, was been here since the Eisenhower administration, just rolled their eyes. "Brenda, that's corn dust. Been here longer than you." I doubled down security cameras, time-stamped logs, Indiana's right to farm law printed and ready. When she blocked my road with cones and fake safety inspection signs, I just filmed it, moved them aside, and kept working. Eventually, The county sheriff called. Turns out Brenda's blockades and false reports might be criminal harassment. Deputy Martinez, good guy, told me to bring all my documentation. About this time, a twist Eleanor Walsh, 73, retired accountant and the unofficial conscience of our little community, showed up at my door with a stack of HOA financials. Jake, honey, your neighbor's been stealing. Turns out Brenda funneled $23,000 in fake legal fees, consulting payments to her husband's company, even charged her BMW lease to the HOA. The kicker? Every time she escalated, there was another invoice. And every time she drove that car on HOA business, she violated her lease if it got wrecked. Insurance wouldn't pay. While Brenda kept spinning up the drama calling and TV crews, posting evidence of farm pollution, even staging an oil spill to frame me for environmental damage. Emmy cameras caught every move. The local news saw right through her. The environmental inspector literally laughed at the evidence. Meanwhile, Deputy Martinez and the Fed started taking her seriously. Federal charges for environmental fraud and false reporting, state charges for embezzlement and harassment. Friday, final harvest day, Brenda made her boldest move, blocking my access road with her BMW, live streaming her heroic defense of the neighborhood. Deputies showed up, told her to move. She didn't. Instead, she gunned it straight into my stationary harvester. Crunch. The video her own, plus mine, caught it all. By noon, the HOA meeting had turned into a public tribunal. Eleanor presented every fraudulent expense. My footage played to a silent crowd, showing Brenda's deliberate crash in every unhinged Facebook post. They voted her out, pressed charges, and passed a resolution supporting my right to farm. Watching her let out in cuffs as neighbors laughed, I felt something better than revenge. Justice. The next months, everything changed. Her embezzled money paid for a new gravel road. The HOA cut dues by 20%. We launched a community farm festival, teaching suburban kids how food is grown. My documentation system got shared statewide. Farmers started winning cases, new laws got passed, and my story hit the papers. Brenda? 18 months in federal prison. Her husband bankrupt, their house repossessed. But the best part? My farm's never been more respected. We host barn dinners. Kids climb my tractors and Mrs. Patterson's granddaughter wants to be a farmer. The people Brenda tried to divide became our strongest supporters. Sometimes the universe does have a sense of humor. You know what I mean? So tell me if you've ever dealt with an HOA nightmare or watched someone try to bully the wrong neighbor. Drop your story in the comments. Who do you think was right? Where do you draw the line between community and control? Hit like if you believe in country justice, and don't forget to subscribe. Next time, it might be your story we're telling that you'd think after watching Brenda led away in handcuffs, head down, neighbors actually cheering, a whole drama would finally fade into the cornfields and things would go back to normal, right? Well, let me tell you, normal in a small town after a public scandal is just a different flavor of chaos. And honestly, it took months before folks stopped talking about that night in the community center. I couldn't walk in a hardware store without someone clapping me on the back saying, "Heard you took on the HOA and won," or "That was better than the state fair tractor pull," which always made Sarah laugh. But I'll admit, for a while, I kind of missed the quiet. For the first week after Brenda's arrest, the whole neighborhood felt like it was holding its breath. There was this sense of relief, like the air finally cleared out after a long, ugly storm, but also a lot of uncertainty, because when you pull up weeds that deep, you're never quite sure what's going to grow back. The interim board got busy quick, digging through Brenda's old paperwork, freezing every account tied to Ashworth Property Solutions, and calling emergency meetings where actual, honest-to-God transparency happened. Eleanor, remember, our unofficial town grandma, ended up chairing the budget committee. She didn't just find stolen money. She found enough buried mess to keep 3 accountants busy for a month. You want to see a room full of suburbanites get real quiet? Show them proof that their monthly dues went to fund someone's designer bag collection and fake legal consulting. Meanwhile, My phone kept buzzing reporters, attorneys, even other farmers from 3 counties over wanting to know how we did it. My documentation, system security cameras, digital logs, binders of every HOA notice and county letter turned into something of a legend. The state extension office called, asking if I do a webinar on best practices for farmer-developer disputes. Now, I don't love public speaking, but Sarah talked me into it, saying it was my duty to help folks who'd been through the same grinder. So yeah, that happened. And you know what? The turnout was nuts. People in Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, even one guy in Vermont, all tuning in to see how a stubborn farmer brought down a tyrant with nothing but patience and paperwork. Funny thing is, the house Brenda and her husband lost to legal fees sat empty for a while like a haunted mansion at the edge of the subdivision. Kids would dare each other to ring the doorbell after dark. Eventually, the bank auctioned it off, and a young couple with 2 toddlers moved in. First thing they did, came over with a pie, introduced themselves, and asked if they could visit the farm with their kids. I told Sarah later that night, see, all it takes is one bad apple to poison the barrel, but it only takes a little kindness to start making cider again. She rolled her eyes, but I caught her smiling. Meanwhile, the festival idea took off. Sarah put together educational programs with the school kids, got to plant corn, collect eggs, even learn about property rights in the most hands-on way you can imagine. Mrs. Patterson, bless her, started bringing over her grandkids for corn maze days. And before you knew it, my barns were echoing with laughter, the smell of kettle corn mixing with diesel exhaust and hay. Our monthly barn dinners became the place to belong, tables set up under string lights. Everybody bringing a dish, kids chasing each other past tractors that a year ago they'd been taught to fear. That's the real win, if you ask me. Sure, Brenda got her day in court, 18 months in federal prison, 2 more years for fraud, and every penny she stole paid back by selling off the BMW, the house, the consulting business. Her husband skipped town, last I heard. Her Facebook group disappeared overnight, and those old supporters quietly unfriended each other. But what really stuck was the sense that we'd all been tested and come out stronger together. Neighbors who never talked before were now planning block parties. Folks who'd been scared to speak up were volunteering for the new HOA board. And every kid in Meadowbrook could tell you the difference between a combine and a conspiracy theory. About 6 months after the whole blow-up, I got a letter from the state agriculture commissioner hand-signed, with a little gold seal and everything. They wanted to honor our farm at the state fair for exemplary defense of agricultural heritage and rural values. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my coffee. I mean, come on, defending my land against a suburban Karen was now an official achievement. Sarah framed the letter and hung it in the mudroom, right next to the kids' handprints. The best part? The sense of pride that came back to the community. When a local paper ran a story about how Brenda's downfall led to new right-to-farm legislation statewide, Mrs. Patterson called to read the headline out loud over the phone, voice shaking with excitement. I heard folks talking about preserving open space, about conservation easements, even about starting a community garden in the common area that used to be Brenda's precious flower bed. It felt like we'd all woken up to the idea that the land, the work, the struggle, the history mattered more than anyone's ego. These days, I still catch myself checking the cameras out of habit, half expecting to see a clipboard-wielding menace lurking at the property line. But all I see are kids riding bikes, neighbors waving, Sarah in the garden. Maybe the next fight will come from somewhere else. Property taxes, a new developer, who knows. But now the whole town knows how to stand together, how to document, how to push back. And that's something Brenda never understood. You can't control a community built on trust and grit. You can only make yourself the villain in a story that ends with everyone else moving forward. So, if you stuck around this long, I want to know, have you ever seen a bully get their comeuppance? What would you have done in my boots? Drop your story below. Hit like, subscribe, and join us for the next round of real-life drama. Because out here, justice isn't just a word, it's the harvest you get when you plant the right seeds and tend them, season after season. See you in the comments, neighbors.